Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the energy shift? Ever had a conversation where someone's words were polite, but their energy was screaming, "I can't stand you"? Listen, there's a big difference between someone who just doesn't like you and someone who outright hates you. And if you don't recognize the signs, you might be letting the wrong people stay in your life for too long. Today, we're breaking it down, the 7 signs that expose hidden hate, so you can stop second guessing and start taking back control of your energy and your future. Not everyone is going to like you. That's just a fact of life. But there's a difference between someone who simply doesn't vibe with you and someone who actively resents you. Most people, when they dislike someone, will keep their distance, limit interactions, or remain neutral. It's not personal, it's just a mismatch of energy. But when someone harbors true hatred, it manifests in ways that go beyond mere avoidance or annoyance. And if you're not paying attention, you might misinterpret their behavior as indifference, when in reality, it's something far more intense. So what's the difference? The key is intentional negativity. When someone dislikes you, their actions are passive. Maybe they won't invite you to things, maybe they won't go out of their way to help you, and maybe they're just not interested in engaging with you. But when hatred is involved, their actions become deliberate and strategic. They want to make things harder for you. They want to see you struggle. They might not openly attack you, but they'll create obstacles, even in subtle ways. Think about someone in your life who gives off an odd, heavy energy around you. Maybe you've told yourself, "Oh, that's just how they are with everyone." But deep down, you feel it. Their interactions with you are different. There's a sharpness to their tone, a slight delay in their responses, an intentional lack of warmth. Hate doesn't have to be loud. It can be quiet, insidious, and masked behind social politeness. But if you learn how to read between the lines, you'll start noticing the patterns. One of the biggest signs of genuine hatred is emotional inconsistency. When someone truly hates you, their reactions to you will often feel off, either exaggerated or completely indifferent at times when a normal person would respond differently. For example, let's say you share good news. Instead of a natural, excited response, they give a forced, "Oh, that's nice," or quickly change the subject. On the flip side, if something goes wrong for you, they may show a little too much interest, asking for details in a way that feels more like curiosity than concern. Hate isn't always aggressive. Sometimes it's just a lack of the positive emotions you'd expect from someone who's neutral. Another key behavior to watch for is subtle sabotage. When people dislike you, they simply stay out of your way, but when they hate you, they look for tiny, often undetectable ways to hold you back. They might conveniently forget to pass along important information. They might withhold resources. They might undermine your credibility in small but meaningful ways, discrediting you in a group, questioning your abilities, or planting seeds of doubt in others' minds. And this isn't just casual negativity. It's a calculated attempt to diminish your presence and influence. Then there's body language and micro-expressions. Words can be controlled, but the body speaks the truth. If you ever feel an unspoken tension around someone, pay attention to how they physically react to you. Do they lean away? Do they make minimal eye contact? Do their facial expressions momentarily tighten when you speak? These are all subconscious indicators of true negativity. Hate has a weight to it, and if someone resents you, their body will show it before their words ever do. Understanding these deeper signs isn't about becoming paranoid. It's about becoming aware. Because here's the thing, when you recognize hate for what it is, you stop personalizing it. Most of the time, someone's hatred isn't really about you. It's about them, something unresolved within them, some insecurity, some past experience that you unknowingly trigger. And when you realize that, you take back your power. Instead of reacting emotionally, you start responding strategically. Maybe that means setting boundaries and limiting interactions. Maybe that means addressing the issue head on. Or maybe the best move is to disengage completely, because the truth is, some people don't deserve access to your energy. Not everyone who dislikes you is your enemy, and not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. The key is learning to recognize the difference so you can protect yourself from those who don't just dislike you, they actively want to see you fail. And once you see it clearly, you'll never be blindsided again. Energy speaks louder than words. Before someone even opens their mouth, their presence, their body language, their subtle reactions, all of it is already communicating something. You can feel when someone is genuinely happy to see you versus when they're just tolerating your presence. You can sense when a conversation flows naturally versus when someone is forcing politeness. The truth is, people may lie with their words, but their energy never does. And if you learn how to read it, you gain an incredible advantage. When someone dislikes you, you'll notice small cues, short, clipped responses, a lack of enthusiasm in their tone, or an unwillingness to engage deeply. But when someone truly hates you, their energy shifts from passive disinterest to something heavier. It may not always be aggressive or obvious, but it's there. A coldness in the air, a certain stiffness in their posture, a hesitation before responding. Hate has a weight to it, and it lingers in the space between words. One of the most telling signs is how their tone changes when they speak to you versus when they speak to others. Maybe they're warm, animated, and engaging with one person, but suddenly reserved or indifferent when it's your turn to talk. It's subtle but unmistakable. It's the way their voice loses its natural rhythm, the way their smile fades a little too quickly, the way they seem to mentally check out of conversations with you while staying present with others. They may not openly say anything negative, but their energy betrays them. And it's not just in their interactions with you, it's also in how they react to what happens to you. Pay attention to how they respond when you share good news. Do they congratulate you with genuine excitement? Or do they offer a lukewarm, "that's nice," before shifting the subject? Do they acknowledge your achievements with the same enthusiasm they would for someone else? Or does their energy deflate as soon as you start talking about something positive in your life? Hate isn't just expressed through conflict. It's often revealed in the absence of support. On the flip side, watch what happens when you struggle. When you mention a setback, do they suddenly seem more engaged? Do they ask for details with a little too much curiosity? Do they offer backhanded sympathy, saying things like, "Yeah, that was bound to happen," or, "Well, at least now you know"? A person who harbors resentment towards you won't necessarily celebrate your pain outright, but their energy will shift in a way that makes it clear they're not exactly upset about it. Another key indicator is avoidance. Not in the obvious way of ignoring someone completely, but in the way they choose to disengage selectively. They may speak to you when necessary, but their words lack depth. They may acknowledge you in a group, but never initiate conversation. They may keep their responses short, as if they're mentally counting down the seconds until the interaction is over. It's the kind of detachment that doesn't just say, "I don't want to talk right now." It says, "I don't want to talk to you." Then there's the physical side of it, because energy isn't just verbal, it's also physical. Do they lean away slightly when you're speaking? Do their eyes shift around the room instead of maintaining natural eye contact? Do their facial expressions seem forced, their body tense, their smile just a little too tight? When someone dislikes you, they'll often keep interactions at a minimum, but when someone hates you, their body will reveal an underlying resistance, even in moments where they're trying to appear neutral. Understanding this is a powerful skill because it allows you to navigate relationships with clarity. You no longer waste energy second-guessing people's intentions. You stop giving your emotional investment to those who have already withdrawn theirs. And most importantly, you protect yourself from the silent hostility that can drain your confidence and peace of mind. The key isn't to confront or force people to like you. The key is recognizing when someone's energy is pushing you away so you can choose to stop chasing approval that was never there to begin with. When you master this, you become untouchable. Because no matter how someone feels about you, their energy is their burden to carry, not yours. Hate doesn't appear out of nowhere. It has a foundation, a psychological blueprint that explains why someone harbors deep resentment toward another person. And the truth is, it often has less to do with you and more to do with them, what they've been through, what they believe about themselves, and what emotions they haven't resolved. If you can understand the root cause of hate, you can stop internalizing it. You can stop reacting emotionally to it. Instead, you can step back, observe, and make decisions from a place of clarity and strength rather than frustration or confusion. One of the most common causes of deep-seated hatred is envy. When someone sees in you something they wish they had, confidence, success, happiness, relationships, or even just the ability to be yourself without fear, it can trigger an intense emotional response in them. But here's the thing, most people don't like to admit they're envious. Instead of acknowledging their own insecurities, they project their frustration outward. They convince themselves that you don't deserve what you have, that you got lucky, or that you're arrogant. In their minds, tearing you down is easier than facing their own shortcomings. So instead of merely disliking you, They begin to resent you, sometimes without even realizing it. Another major driver of hatred is past wounds and unresolved pain. Sometimes someone may associate you, consciously or unconsciously, with a negative experience they've had. Maybe you remind them of someone who hurt them. Maybe your success makes them feel like a failure because of something they went through. Maybe your presence challenges a belief they hold about themselves. Whatever the case, their reaction to you isn't actually about you. It's about the unhealed parts of themselves that they haven't yet dealt with. They might feel threatened by you, but they can't pinpoint why. So instead of addressing their emotions, they turn their discomfort into resentment. Then there's the ego factor. Some people can't handle the idea of being less than someone else in any capacity. They need to feel superior, and when they can't, it creates internal conflict. If they see you excelling in an area where they struggle, their ego feels attacked. Instead of using that feeling as motivation for growth, they choose resentment. They create narratives in their head that justify their hatred. You must have cheated the system. You're just lucky. People like you always get ahead for the wrong reasons. It's a defense mechanism to protect their own self-image. The more they feel overshadowed by you, the more their hate solidifies. Hate can also stem from a need for control. Some people want to feel like they have power over others, whether it's in social dynamics, the workplace, or personal relationships. When they can't control you, when you don't seek their validation, when you refuse to conform to their expectations, when you stand your ground, it creates frustration. In their mind, if they can't control you, they must destroy you. This is why people who hate you often try to undermine you, discredit you, or create unnecessary obstacles in your path. They don't just want to dislike you quietly, they want to ensure others see you in a diminished light as well. And then there's resentment built over time. Sometimes hate isn't immediate. It builds gradually. Maybe there were small moments where they felt slighted, whether intentional or not. Maybe they misinterpreted something you said. Maybe they held on to an old grudge that you forgot about, but they never did. The problem with resentment is that if it's never addressed, it grows roots. Over time, even the smallest annoyances can turn into something much bigger, and before they even realize it, they've gone from disliking you to outright hating you. But here's the most important thing to remember. Hatred is always a reflection of the person feeling it, not the person receiving it. You cannot make someone hate you. Their emotions, their reactions, their beliefs, those are their responsibility. Understanding this allows you to detach. When you recognize that hatred is often rooted in envy, insecurity, past wounds, ego, or the need for control, you stop taking it personally. You stop feeling the need to defend yourself. You stop reacting to their negativity with your own. Instead, you make decisions based on your own peace. You recognize when it's best to walk away, when it's best to set boundaries, and when it's best to simply let them sit with their own emotions while you continue moving forward. Because at the end of the day, someone else's hate is their burden to carry, not yours. When you learn to recognize the signs of true hatred, you gain something incredibly powerful. Control over your own energy and emotion. You stop reacting blindly to negativity, and instead, you respond with awareness. This awareness gives you the ability to choose your next move wisely, rather than getting pulled into unnecessary drama or emotional exhaustion. Because here's the truth, not everyone who hates you is going to be obvious about it. Some people operate in subtle ways, keeping their resentment hidden behind social politeness. But once you know what to look for, you take back your power. You stop second-guessing yourself, and you start making choices that protect your peace. One of the biggest mistakes people make is internalizing other people's negativity. When someone treats you with hostility, it's natural to wonder, did I do something wrong? But the moment you start blaming yourself for someone else's emotions, you give away your power. You start adjusting your behavior in an attempt to be more likable, when in reality, some people will hate you no matter what you do. And the more energy you waste trying to win over someone who has already decided to resent you, the more drained and frustrated you'll feel. Understanding these signs allows you to make a crucial shift from reacting to choosing how to engage. When you identify that someone's energy toward you is toxic, you have the power to decide whether or not you want to keep them in your space. You can choose to create boundaries, you can choose to limit interactions, you can choose not to take their behavior personally. You don't have to engage in their mind games, their subtle jabs, or their attempts to undermine you. You simply step back and let them deal with their own emotions while you focus on what actually matters, your growth, your goals, and your peace of mind. Another key realization is that some people thrive on negativity. There are individuals who feed off conflict, gossip, and passive-aggressive behavior. When they see that their resentment toward you isn't affecting you, they might even try harder to provoke a reaction. But here's the secret. The moment you stop giving them the reaction they're looking for, you take away their power. They may try to sabotage you. But if you keep showing up, keep succeeding, and keep moving forward without engaging in their negativity, they eventually lose interest. Because their fuel isn't actually their hate, it's your response to their hate. When you refuse to give them that response, their power over you disappears. At the same time, recognizing these signs allows you to be strategic with your environment. If you know someone is working against you, you can stop putting yourself in situations where they have influence over you. If you sense someone's resentment toward you growing, you can distance yourself before it turns into outright hostility. You don't have to wait until a situation becomes unbearable to take action. When you can read the warning signs early, you make proactive decisions instead of reactive ones. You choose who you surround yourself with. You choose where you invest your time and energy. And most importantly, you choose where your focus goes. Because at the end of the day, your energy is your responsibility. You cannot control how people feel about you, but you can control how much access they have to you. You can control whether or not their negativity affects your confidence, your mindset, and your emotional state. The moment you stop letting their hate dictate your emotions, you win. You win because you're no longer held hostage by other people's unresolved issues. You win because you're no longer seeking validation from people who are never going to give it to you. You win because you're no longer wasting energy on situations that don't contribute to your growth. And most of all, you win because you've learned the most powerful skill of all: the ability to protect your peace no matter what energy is thrown your way.